Hey guys, Scott Ulmer here. I'm doing a video series on a property on Wilson. This is the fourth video in the series. If you haven't seen the other ones, we'll link you to the playlist here in this video. But we're buying a house on a street called Wilson. The first video was an actual on-site walkthrough of the property to really assess the rehab. We went room by room. I broke down what we're planning on doing and what the associated costs are. But in the process of walking through the house and going through the numbers, we want to really kind of solidify and memorialize what the numbers look like. So the next video was back here at our office on the whiteboard behind me. We broke down the numbers room by room and what the total rehab was going to be with some different options on what we may do, what we may not do. And we also loved to get comments from you of what you thought as far as what you would do if you had the same scenario. The next video was, do we flip or do we wholesale? How do you assess a property? What do I look at when I'm looking at a big equity spread, but also a big rehab? And what are the factors that go into that decision? Can I take it the long dollar? Do I have the funds to do so? Or do I need to wholesale because I don't have my private funds lined up? Put it under contract no matter what, because you have control once you have a contract. Then you can make your decision whether you want to go for the short dollar, which is wholesaling, or the long dollar, which is the fixing and flipping. And this video here I'm going to do is about buying a house and getting a check. Buy a house, get a check. It's a great concept, and there's a term that we call overfinancing, which is our word of the day. Let me go ahead and dive into the video. All right, guys, have you ever heard of the phrase, buy a house, get a check? It was very popular back in the 80s, a little before my time, maybe. Not going to indicate my age here, but it was a slogan back in the day, and most people today haven't heard of it, but it's really cool when you think about what it means. You go to a closing to purchase a home, so you are buying the house, but you're also leaving with a check. And that's the purpose of this video, along with the word of the day. Remember Sesame Street, they had the word of the day. So the word of the day today is overfi. Is that even a word? It's a word today. It's a word for the video. Overfi is short for overfinancing, and I'm going to tell you exactly what that means here. So first and foremost, the lesson is very simple. I've done this 25 years. I've worked with a lot of people around the country. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make when they're doing rehabs is not paying themselves up front. Not only did you find the deal, did you go through different leads and make offers and ultimately consummate a contract, but if you're rehabbing it, and it's a big rehab, and in this case, in this example, this is a series of videos that we've done, it's about a $40,000 rehab. So you've got time to not only oversee the rehab, but there's going to be likely 60 to 90 days, maybe even a little bit more, that the rehab time frame is going to take. By the way, does the rehab time frame ever fall within the time frame it's supposed to? Sometimes, but many times it doesn't, which means you've got a couple of months in overseeing a contractor and a rehab job. Once the rehab's done, then you have to market it and ultimately show it, find a buyer. So you've got a process in selling or flipping a home. That's just part of the deal, and you can make a lot of money doing it. The issue or the challenge or the problem that I see is that if you've got 3 or 4 months, maybe 5, if you have all sorts of problems that go wrong in the rehab, now you're 6, 7, 8, 9 months out, you haven't gotten paid a nickel. You've got gas money, you've got time, you've got marketing. There are things that are going to be taking your time up, and it can become very demoralizing and really deflating when you haven't made a nickel on the deal. So one of the things my dad taught me early on is that when you buy a house, you always make sure you get a check. And that can come in the form of overfinancing. Overfinancing, which is not necessarily a Webster's real word. I don't even know if it's in the dictionary, but my definition or how I equate it is that you're borrowing a little bit more than the acquisition and the rehab cost. You're overfinancing a small amount typically that goes right in your pocket. My rule of thumb is at least $5,000. So when you buy a house, you need to have an allocation for what you're borrowing that you pay yourself $5,000. Usually it's from a private loan, and that's part of the deal, is an extra $5,000 that goes right to your pocket for time, resource, energy, gas money, marketing, showing the home, overseeing the rehab, you name it. What goes into a flip takes time. If you're not getting paid, it can become very demoralizing. So in the next video, I'm going to tell you the 3 different exit strategies that we are looking at or looked at for this deal and the one that we took, and you're going to see how overfinancing played a big role in it. It's really padded our stats pretty good, and when you see the numbers, you'll see what I mean. So very quickly, I'm not going to go deep on this video. Take the acquisition cost of $130,000. The ARV after repaired value is going to be $230,000. That's when it's fixed up to the nines, ready to go. A 70% loan to value is $161,000, and 75% is $172,500. For the sake of the video, we're going to take the lower of the two, the 70% loan to value, which is a nice conservative loan to value. Every investor will be comfortable with that. Frankly, in today's market, investors are comfortable as high as 80%. I've even seen some as high as 85%. I don't advocate that. One market shift and now you're underwater. 70-75% is a pretty conservative number, and ultimately we're comfortable with that. If we took the $161,000 as far as what we borrowed and we were acquiring it for $130,000, and we put $5,000 to $10,000 into the property, which is kind of one of our plans. I'll tell you more in the next video. Let's say we put 10 in, so we have $140,000 out of pocket. We borrowed $161,000. That's a $21,000 difference. We put $10,000 into the home, and ultimately the house is ready for somebody to come in and do cosmetics and some other things. We sell it on what's called a work for equity. I can cover that in another video. But a work for equity simply means that a buyer who is making payments to you typically is going to come in and they're going to do some of the work. You're going to give them a better price. So we're going to give them a little bit better price than the $230,000 because they're going to be putting work and time into the home, mostly cosmetic. We usually do the major repairs, electric, heating and air, things that require kind of specialization of rehab. What's the word I'm looking for? Specialization. When you have folks that have licenses with HVAC and plumbing and electric, when you're messing with the majors, I always advise get somebody that knows what they're doing. Usually a buyer, someone that wants to buy the home, is not the person you want fixing the electrical. That could be a bad recipe right there, and or heating and air, any of the majors. But if you can do the majors, almost everybody can paint and do some upgrades when they're cosmetic at the end of the day. So you give a little bit of a better price, but you put the money, your pre-profit, in your pocket up front. I don't want to go further than that, but in that scenario, if we bought it for $130,000, put $10,000 in it, took care of the majors, let somebody else do the cosmetics, we'd have to give a better price than the $230,000, but right off the bat, we put $21,000 in our pocket. Now we have a buyer in the house that gave us a down payment. They're making payments to us, and they're doing work on the property we have title to. Now, they have an agreement to buy it, so they are protected to whatever degree they need to be, but they're the ones doing the work on our property. It's really a beautiful way to sell properties, work for equity, especially when you do the majors, the mechanical systems, and let somebody else take the cosmetics. So let me come full circle back to the purpose of this video. When you buy a house to do a rehab on it, great lesson, great piece of advice, get yourself paid up front. I don't care how it happens, if it has to be part of the numbers, if it comes off the top, if it's your portion of whatever you're splitting with an investor, or however you factor that, and that's another video. You got to put yourself at least $5,000 in your pocket the day you buy the house. So you have some walk-in money, some gas money. It makes a big difference. Not getting paid when you're working really hard on a deal for 6 months can become deflating and demoralizing, and we call that in our world overfi or overfinancing. And again, usually just $5,000 is enough to get you through. If you borrow more and you don't end up putting it into the property because you have someone that steps up as a buyer, says, I want to buy it the way it is, I want to create more equity and more value for myself, so I'll get a better price, I'll do the work. We have a work scope with our buyer, which means these are the things you're going to do. And in this time frame, we usually give them maybe in 5 block increments. I'm going to do these 5 things in the next 60 days and the next 5 things in the next 60 days. And we come and we check to make sure they're doing them. It's important if you're going to give them a discount on the price, they have to do the work. But that's, again, kind of separate from the purpose of this video. When you sell on work for equity, you take the difference in what you borrow and you put it in your pocket. And I will also add, it's tax-free. Because it's a loan that you're repaying, anything you borrow above your cost goes in your pocket tax-free because you have to repay it. It is a loan, but there's no taxes on it. So if we put that $21,000 in our pocket today, that's all in our pocket. The old Hip National Bank, one of our favorites. So again, if you're going to do a rehab, get yourself paid up front through overfi, the word of the day. There, let's go check Webster's to see if it's in there. I don't think it is. So, but we're gonna petition Webster's, get it in there as a real estate investor lingo here. So anyway, hope you took that nugget. Again, it's a great lesson and can get you really some traction in your early days when you're doing a flip, so you're not totally out of pocket and waiting for this sale that could happen 6-8 months down the road. Get yourself paid up front through overfinancing. It'll make a world of difference when you're doing rehabs. I see you've been watching our videos, and I want to give you a big thank you. If you've ever wanted to get into real estate investing, there's never been a better time than now. Click the link below for more information on how you can work with myself and my team, or visit pinkaffiliates.com. That's pinkaffiliates.com. We have a variety of options for you to get started at whatever level you are interested in. Click the link below, visit pinkaffiliates.com, and see what Pink can do for you.